Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Predictions and Speculation for The Bad Batch Season 2. We're talking about episode 13 this week, Pabu. Pabu is an interesting title. We're going to dive into what we think it means and where we think the direction of these last 3 weeks of The Bad Batch are heading. But before we do so, please hit that like button down below. Subscribe to our channel for continued Star Wars content. And if you are interested in The Bad Batch, we are covering it every single week, both reviews and predictions and speculation. So if you want to hear all of our thoughts on The Bad Batch Season 2, make sure you're subscribed. Also, if you're interested in The Mandalorian, we are covering that as well in both review format and predictions and speculation. We have our review of Heir to the Empire for our Legends Book Club coming out tomorrow. Make sure you check that video out as well. All right, so let's get into the predictions for The Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 13. We've made it almost to the end of The Bad Batch. Only 3 weeks left, 4 total episodes left, and we're down to Pabu. So Pabu is a title that really has nothing to do with Star Wars. We've done our research. It has zero connections to the Star Wars universe. There is a ferret, a red ferret looking thing that it comes up when you look at Pabu, but other than that, there is nothing. So this will be a more open-ended speculation. But I think the two directions we got to go with, and for those of you who have been following predictions and speculation with us for the Bad Batch across our entirety of our Bad Batch season 2 coverage, you know where we're going to start. We're going to start with Crosshair. He was the first part, or really, he was the only focus of this episode 12, The Outpost. And when we end on an actual cliffhanger with him, which is not something we've done before. He is on Wayland in Mount Tantus being experimented on. He got an injection by one of the doctors, and we don't know how that's going to translate. But with Tantus and Wayland, the Zillow Beast, and all of that being a big part of the Bad Batch's journey too, it seems like that's going to be kind of the center focus of the last few episodes of this show. Sanak, let's start with Crosshair. What do you think his role in the Bad Batch episode 13 might be, and kind of into the future?
I don't think he will have a role. He'll, in my mind, being that that episode is titled Pabu, that just sounds more of a Sid sort of mission. And if there was ever an episode to cut off our momentum, this would be it. Because even last season, like we talked about off camera, Liam, you mentioned the infestation episode was also episode 13 of season 1, and the one right after was War Mantle, which is like one of the better ones of the entire Bad Batch series. So after having two very strong, if not two of the top 5 episodes in all the Bad Batch for me, I expect this to be the Sid cutoff point. So where does it mean for Crosshair situation? I think he is being actively experimented on. I think maybe you have the episode open and end with like tags of him undergoing some sort of process. I would love to see him almost be like X-Men Origins Wolverine for Deadpool, where he is this one thing and by the end something is just horribly tragic going on. Maybe we end with him in progress to whatever they're doing to him. I think that would be some very significant body horror and fully show that the moment that he has given up on the Empire and he has lost all usefulness for them is the moment that they reconstruct him, repurpose him, and that I think that would be very tragic and would definitely lead into what should be a two-part finale, possibly involving Wayland. Definitely going to deal with Omega and her specialness once more. That's where I think Crosshair is going to go for me. I don't see him be a player in this episode.
Yeah, I kind of am with you. I think we've had so little of Crosshair across this season that it seems like his story is a bit more limited. As much as I would love it to continue into next episode, I think we're going back to the Batch. They've been the main part of this whole season, and yeah, the infested episode is looming large. I remember how we felt back in 21 watching that, and we just had the Hera episodes. And then we're like, oh man, we're gonna get there. We're on our way towards the finale. And then they hit us with Sid. And we still, as much as Sid seems to be phasing out maybe of life for the Bad Batch, we still haven't slammed the door in her face yet. Maybe this is the episode that does so. I would love to see the beginning and endings for Crosshair, like you mentioned. I think that would be a cool angle. Maybe, if you want to go really crazy, maybe Pabu is some like thing that a drug or something used on him, some type of experimental technique, something where we're just in Crosshair's head the whole episode. It's like a trippy, weird THX type episode. Bring back George Lucas to make this one. It could be wacky. I'd love to see something like that. I mean, I want more Crosshair. Crosshair, as much as I liked last episode and as much as I have enjoyed both of the Crosshair episodes this season, it seems like the resolution of his character has been kind of quick for him to just snap and kill Lieutenant Nolan. That seemed fast compared to where he was at the end of the Bad Batch season one. It seemed like, we've had big moments for him this season, but still, I would have liked to see a bit more lead up to that. So if maybe we could get inside his head a bit more, if we could get an interrogation type episode, something that gives us a bit more access to his psyche, that would be nice because he seems to be a lot more disgruntled and just kind of all over the place mentally compared to where he was at the end of season one. But let's talk about the batch then, because we both think this is going back to the batch and it's going back to Sid. I personally think that the closest thing we could probably get Pabu to being, it's one of two things. It's a name. It could either be the name of a person or it could be the name of a system. I think that's a better route, that it's possibly a planet, and it could be kind of a place that the Bad Batch need to go. Hopefully that would have something to do with Wayland. But Sonic, do you think we're going back to the Bad Batch next episode? And do you think we're going back to Sid? And how do you think that will unfold?
We are going back to the Bad Batch. The questions left after their escape, and now the Doctor pursuing them. If I think this is also a case where maybe there is a real world application of culture and awareness, because yes, we have mentioned that Pabu has nothing to do with Star Wars. It's a fire ferret from Legend of Korra. But if you really wanted to connect it, Legend of Korra is a sequel series to Avatar: The Last Airbender, which Dave Filoni worked on. And if he has had any sort of input in the season, maybe just people seeing and knowing what Pabu is, they might think this is like more of like an unassuming, funny creature rescue or something like that. Poorly timed, of course, but maybe that would be something like that. But maybe it is. Maybe it is the system that you mentioned. Maybe this is where the misnomer of where we think things are gonna be nice and cutesy instead is the trap laid by the Doctor because he's got something over Sid, or the Empire has managed to uncover Sid and what she's been doing, or she's been sold out by her ex-friend from Faster. I'd like to see Sid's worst behavior. I like to see her pull off a Lando where she just has to do it. And I don't know if she necessarily needs to be redeemed either. I would actually really enjoy if Sid struggled to make the decision to abandon the Bad Batch, to sell them off. But at the end of the day, she's like, well, it's the money, or it's like that character that Benicio plays in The Last Jedi. DJ, yes, but they assume he's one guy, but he's not. I'd love for her to start off as maybe dealing with the Lando situation and then convert into a DJ situation of like, maybe you guys are right, but this is the best route for me. I think that would be a great way to put a stamp on her character, to kind of leave her to her devices and to also signify where we are at this point in the timeline. I don't think there are people who are willing to lay down their whole operations and lives for a couple of clones, especially with the prerogative, as we've seen in a lot of these episodes, to just dispose them, make them retire. What's a few extra clones who know about her missions? As long as she gets money out of them, I think she's fine and she can re-angle herself. And I think that would be another death knell to Omega's innocence. She has already questioned Sid, but now at this point, the one person that she has, like, Sid has actually been affected by and seen someone stand for her to betray her, I think would be a nice touch there. But if we are to go in a totally different direction, maybe Pabu is a system where we connect with Echo and Rex, and there they find the clues leading toward Wayland and what this doctor has been doing. Maybe we have a better understanding of Crosshair's whereabouts because someone has been at that outpost, a TK trooper or whatever that's been interrogated. That one seems a little bit more of a stretch to bring them back in. I think you can still tie them back into a two-part finale and what they've been doing all this time. I would appreciate them having a little bit of breathing room so they could focus on pure action and all the Wayland mysteries and whatnot. But I could see that being a potential there. But ultimately, I think it is just Sid, some sort of cop out for her, and that loss of innocence for Omega, and maybe make it a trap for Omega because now her importance has been re-verified, and she seems to be even more unique than she was in season one with the Doctor and his now strong desire to bring in Nalase and Lamasu to bring about Omega's return.
Yeah, I think that's where I was gonna go was Omega is going to get kidnapped in either this episode or the next one. The next one's called Tipping Point. I think that's gonna be the one where she gets taken, but she's going to get taken, and then that's going to force the Bad Batch to not only muster their strength, but muster all their allies, Echo, Rex, maybe Cody, maybe Crosshair if he's left, or maybe Crosshair will be kind of somebody they just discover when they're going through Tantus, and then they break him out and he helps them get out. But I think that is gonna be where we're headed. Now it could start in this episode, maybe it happens in this episode, maybe it pulls like a Mando season 2 where Grogu gets kidnapped in the 6th episode, which was the second to last of the season, and then or the third to last of the season, and then the second to last one of the season was a like we got to get ready and prepared to get him back type episode, and then we got into the finale. We could go that route. I don't think so. I think this is going to be I truly think Pabu is going to be the name of a location or a contact for the Bad Batch, and it could go one of two ways. It could be a it's crazy how just the person that gives them the mission will change our outlook on all this. If they were given the mission by Rex and Echo, we'd be like, all right, sweet, we're getting into the narrative now. Like
Oh yeah.
even if they do nothing, it's going to be like even if it's the same type of mission that we get with Sid, it could be the same thing. It could be the baby Rancor, it could be all that type of stuff. But if it's given to them by Rex and Echo, it just feels important. If it's given to them by Sid, it doesn't feel as important. Uh, you know, the way to cap off Sid's story perfectly would be if somehow she was to sacrifice her life for them. I just from the character we've seen, it doesn't seem likely. Honestly, it seems more likely that they would end up killing her because she would send somebody after them and they'd get in a big firefight or something. But I don't think we're gonna get that dark in the show either. So yeah, the Bad Batch are going somewhere called Pabu. It could be a city, it could be an outpost, it could be a planet, or it could be a person they have to meet. But I think it's along that line. And within that, they're either going to be sent there of some mission of importance because they do mention in the last time we saw them that they need to get in touch with Rex and Echo in Metamorphosis. So maybe there is some type of maybe that's a place where Rex and Echo are hiding and they go there and it's kind of a secret base for clones. There could be a lot of cool things you can do in that before we inch our way towards the finale because we're really, as even though the finale is 2 episodes, I'm really considering this the third to last week of the Bad Batch and kind of the third to last episode because those episodes are going to go right into each other. So really not this coming week, but the week after is our season, our penultimate episode before the season finale. And so if we're looking at it that way, where last year the finale was split into 2 weeks, then maybe episode 13 is more like the episode we got last season where Hunter was left on the planet and they had to go rescue him in the 14th episode. So I would love to see something like that. If Omega was to get kidnapped in this episode, in the next episode, we were able to kind of muster our forces and try to mount a rescue mission before we get into the finale. But yeah, I'm bracing myself for the possibility that this is the last Sid mission of the season and possibly something that's just very simple and not that interesting. But I
Hopefully the
hope
last one ever. Hopefully the last one ever.
it could be. And like we said, like if they switch next season to doing filler episodes, but they were given by Rex and Echo, I would be on board every week. And I think the general public would be more on board than they would be if Sid was giving them episodes. But those are our thoughts on what we think might happen in episode 13 of The Bad Batch Season 2. Pabu, let us know what you think is going to happen down below in the comments. If you haven't liked the video, it'll really help us out. Subscribe to our channel if you're new for more Bad Batch Season 2 content. And make sure you're continuing to follow along our journey as we continue to review and predict every single episode of this show. If you haven't checked out our Heir to the Empire Legends Book Club, it is coming out tomorrow. Make sure you watch that video. We are doing Legends Book Club every month to 6 weeks. You will be able to vote on what you think you should be the next book when we have the poll up soon. Make sure you're checking out our community tab as well. We're doing our Star Wars Lads March Movie Madness Bracket Challenge, ranking all of the Star Wars movies and TV shows, allowing you guys to vote on what you think should win. Check that out and make sure you're voting so your voices are heard. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.